Welcome to Rewired for Love. I am your host, JaCarie Owens, licensed mental health counselor, EMDR basic training coach and consultant, group practice owner and supervisor at Courageous Minds Counseling, relational trauma expert, and the most important one, your honest but loving homegirl therapist who's not afraid to talk about the messy parts of healing. Around here, we talk about all things nobody taught us growing up, how our attachment styles show up in love, why our nervous system acts like a fool sometimes, and what it really takes to feel safe in our bodies. So this is not about perfection. It's about learning to love yourself in real time with grace, boundaries, and a little bit of humor. So take a deep breath. Get comfy, because we don't chase chaos, we choose calm. And this is Rewired for Love. Hey y'all, welcome back to Rewired for Love. Let me ask you something, because we're just going to jump into it. Have you ever found yourself explaining something, and then explaining it again, and then explaining it differently, and then adding more context to it? And then giving even examples, and then after giving examples, then walking away thinking, why did I say all that? Or you send that text, and it's not a text anymore, it's a whole paragraph. Actually, let's be real, it's a whole novel. And you reread it like, okay, now they have it, they understand me. If that is you, here's the truth. You are not too much. You just learned that being clear wasn't enough. So of course I know you are asking. So let me break this down, because over-explaining is not random. Over-explaining looks like over-justifying your feelings, over-proving your intentions, explaining yourself before anyone even understands you. It also looks like struggling to keep things simple, because you're always adding one more thing, one more context, one more, but just one more, right? And it looks like feeling anxious when you're not fully understood. And on the surface, it looks like good communication. But underneath over-explaining is anxiety. It's fear. It's protection. And clinically speaking, over-explaining is a nervous system response. It's not a personality flaw. It's your body trying to prevent disconnection. It's trying to prevent conflict or even rejection before it even happens. It's when your brain says, if I make it super clear, if I say it the perfect way, if I give every detail, maybe I won't be dismissed, or maybe I won't be blamed, or even misunderstood. So you're not just talking, you're trying to protect yourself with words. So what does that look like from an attachment lens? Let's go deeper into that, because this did not just start in adulthood. So let me take it back for a second. Maybe you grew up in a home where you weren't really listened to fully. Or maybe you grew up in a home where your emotions were minimized, where you heard things like, you're fine, stop crying. Or you were misunderstood often. You had to defend your feelings. You were told things like, that's not what happened. You're too sensitive. It's not that deep. You're being dramatic. So what did you learn from that? You learned, I have to explain better. I have to say it the right way. I have to make people understand me, because if they don't understand me, I don't feel safe. Your little child brain didn't say it that clean, but your body understood that. Your body understood that I'm not believed easily. I'm not heard easily. I have to work for that. Now, if we want to add parts work lens into that for a second, there is a younger part of you, that inner child, who still believes that if I just explain it right, they'll finally hear me. So now, as an adult, you don't just communicate. You work to be understood. You're not just saying how you feel, you're building a case. And you're not just sharing, you're defending. You are never just talking, you're auditioning for the role of valid. And that's heavy because what happens is there becomes a need to earn understanding. And that's where it gets real. A lot of you don't believe you deserve to be understood unless you explain yourself perfectly. Let that sit for a second. So you over-explain to earn something that you should be getting freely. You over-explain your boundaries. And that probably sounds like, I'm not mad. I'm just saying, it's just like the last time. And also, I know you didn't mean it, but, and then you over-explain your emotions. And it sounds like this. I know it probably sounds silly, but the reason I felt that way was because of my childhood and also my last relationship. And also, I was tired. That's exhausted me just saying that out loud. But then you also over-explain why something hurt you. And that might sound like this. I know you were joking. I know you didn't mean it like that. It's just that when you said it this way, with that tone, after this thing, it landed different. You're trying to make your feelings make sense to them so that they will give you permission to keep feeling how you feel. Because wherever along the way, you learned that your feelings weren't valid on their own. They had to be logical. They had to be laid out. They had to be justified. But here's the reality. Healthy relationships do not require you to perform a full PowerPoint presentation for your emotions to matter. You don't need a thesis statement, 3 supporting paragraphs, and the conclusions just to say that you hurt my feelings. And when we're talking about over-explaining, let's talk about something that's going to shift everything for you. And that is, there is a difference between communicating and convincing. Communication says, this is how I feel, this is what I need, this is what I can and cannot do. While convincing says, let me keep explaining until you agree. Let me say it 5 ways differently so that you don't get mad. Let me over-explain so you don't think I'm selfish, crazy, mean, or all the other things that may come with me feeling like I'm a burden to you. So let me break this down even deeper. Convincing looks like explaining over and over, trying to get them to agree with your feelings, needing validation to feel okay about what you said, and feeling deeply unsettled if they don't get it, or if they don't respond how you wanted them to respond. But when we're talking about boundaries, boundaries look like clear, direct, not over-explained, and not dependent on agreement. Because the reality is you don't need someone to agree with you for your boundaries to be valid. You don't need someone to fully get it for your feeling to be real. Your feelings do not need a presentation to be respected. And some of y'all are exhausted, physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted. Because you've been trying to convince people who already decided not to understand you. They heard you. They just don't want to change. And you still talking like, maybe if I explain it differently. Let that go. You are not a translator for people who benefit from not getting it. So when we're talking about boundaries, convincing, communication, over-explaining, you may be like, okay, what does it look like when you start healing? Healing doesn't mean you stop communicating. It does not mean that you become cold or distant or have an attitude of, I don't care. In this case, healing means that you say less and mean more. You start tolerating being misunderstood sometimes. You stop editing yourself to sound agreeable. You trust that the right people will meet you halfway without a script. You also feel less urgency to prove that you're not the villain in their story. And lastly, you might notice yourself saying, I feel uncomfortable and I need some space. And then stopping. No 17 extra sentences to make sure they don't think that you're mad. You might say, that hurt my feeling. And not follow it with, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. I'm just being sensitive. It's my trauma. So you let your feelings be a complete sentence. Healing doesn't mean you stop explaining altogether. It means you stop abandoning yourself in the process. You stop making your entire nervous system work overtime for basic understanding. And here's a practical reframe that you can use. So instead of asking, did I explain it well enough? Start asking, do I feel safe being misunderstood right now? Because sometimes the growth is not in the perfect explanation. It's in letting people sit with what you said without trying to fix them. You said it. They heard it. What they do with it is information for you. So I want to leave you with this. You were never too much. You were just in spaces where your voice wasn't fully received. And then you adapted. You stretched your sentences, you softened your tone, you added disclaimers, you even apologized for existing too loudly. But you don't have to keep performing for misunderstanding. You don't have to keep explaining yourself in exhaustion. The right people won't require a breakdown to believe you. If this episode hit you, I want you to try something this week. Say what you need once, and then sit with it. No over-explaining, no rewriting the text 12 times, no following up with a, sorry about that if that was a lot. Just trust it. Trust that your voice is allowed to be enough without third-party essay attached to it. And if this feels uncomfortable, that's okay. That's not you doing something wrong. That's your nervous system learning that you don't have to work so hard to deserve being heard. If this resonates with you, share it with someone who stays sending novels in the group chat. And if you got a question that you want me to unpack next week, send it in. Because we're not just talking about communication over here. We are rewiring it. Until next time. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Rewired for Love. If today's conversation resonated with you, share it with someone you care about, or take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback helps this community to grow and keeps these healing conversations flowing. You can also follow me and come hang out with me on all socials, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of them at Rewired for Love Podcast. Go there to get your daily doses of healing, honesty, and a whole lot of love. Until next time, keep listening to your body, lead with compassion, and remember, you are safe enough to love and be loved.